Maybe I'll never really get to know Dartmoor. How can any man expect to know 365 square miles of such a wild place in one lifetime? But I'm convinced it is a heart place, and once you've found it, it's with you forever. The desolation at this time of year, with its combinations of colours and textures, is magnificent. Winter lifts the wilderness above reality and carries you with it to fill you with awe.
Much of Dartmoor is between 1,000 and 2,000 feet above the sea. The rounded hills and broad sheltered combes offer little resistance to the sort of winter winds like this that whistle down from Siberia. So, every time the sky darkens and the wind stands between the north and east, you begin to wonder what the night will bring.
This is a tough time for the cattle and the people who look after them. It's part of the farmer's job to provide food and shelter for his beasts, because although they spend nearly all their lives on this rough ground, they can't support themselves at this time of year without human help. The farms have a beleaguered air as winter deepens. Their heart beats in a great sleeping landscape. Life is drawn to them, and for many creatures, they're the only means of survival. The farmyard early in the morning has a trance-like quality. Behind everything is this beautiful passiveness, this acceptance of their fate. Anything that nature can bring, the grazing animal can contend with within its own gentleness.
In-country farmers called Dartmoor farmers are lazy farmers, stick and dog farmers, because they have no milking, no hedging, what they call no real hard work. Sitting on a tractor driving, it's not hard work. Like, you know. Well, that's not hard work, is it? It's sitting on your arse, you know. But the only thing is, it's a harder life for all the animals up here because it's colder. I suppose it's probably harder for yourself in a way. You've got to keep warmer all the time. It's a good life. Keeps you young, you know. Ponies are a thing that are in your blood, but there are not many Dartmoor farmers like it. There's an end for the Dartmoor pony, I think, probably. Give it another 5 years and you won't see any more ponies on the moor. At one time, all the steel workers and the miners in the Midlands used to buy a pony, buy a foal, rear it, break it in, keep it to it was 4 years old and sell it. They'd make a little profit, and that was your real kid's pony. And those kids' ponies have gone now. There aren't many youngsters on Dartmoor loving ponies anymore. It's a pity. They don't even ride them, not here. They don't even ride a horse, they ride a motorbike. There'll be a few private people breeding them, but the actual moor pony will be gone. A rumour is a thing that there is a possibility that they might subsidise a herd of ponies on the moor, the same as they have on Exmoor. They would be typical Dartmoors. Presumably they'd have to be pedigree Dartmoors, of which there aren't many left up here. I hope they wouldn't subsidise the little coloured Shetland ponies you see running around. But that's the result of when ponies were a good business. They were worked for the pits, you see, they were bred. And that was a very good trade for ponies then, pit ponies.
Hill farming's a hard life. It's in my blood, I guess. We've been here a long time now. I think most of the locals feel the same way. They'd sooner stay on Dartmoor and keep the community alive. We spend about 6 or 7 hours through the day feeding the animals until the beginning of May when most of the cows are calved. After they finish calving, as soon as the grass comes, they'll come every other day when the weather's bad. The dun cows you've seen, the brown cows, are a Scottish breed, and they've come from the west coast of Scotland. They're Galloways from Dumfries. The conditions up there are very similar to our conditions down here. Perhaps we're a bit warmer overall, where it's wet and windy up there like it is here, so they're natural doers down here. Same principle as keeping the Scotch sheep. They'll do down here in wet and windy conditions. Like the Dartmoor ponies, they don't need a lot of feed. You can feed them a bit of rough fodder, and they'll get by very well. If you keep them too well, you get a lot of problems with them getting too fat.
unless you're geared to making silage, you've got to buy an awful lot of forage up here. If the subsidies go, I think it will probably be nearly the end of farming on Dartmoor because there's not enough money in it. I mean, things keep dropping now. I mean, meat prices drop and forage goes up. Transport goes up, diesel goes up, everything. Price of hay goes up. When I first came here, the Duchy Land Steward, Colonel Roberts, said, are you going to take in guests? He says, you've got to earn more money, you know, do something else to earn a bit more. I said, no, I can't do that, I can't cook.
At this lean time, the farmer isn't going to get very fat on the passing bed and breakfast trade. Winter finally bangs up the shutters on the holiday trade. Yet not so long ago, it seemed impossible that a cold, white wind could sweep the roads clean and leave the tourist centres empty. But it happens every year, the seasonal purging after the human exodus. All that remains of the crowded months are a few notices promising resurrection at Easter, and the wilderness begins to reassert its right to be wild, open, and inhospitable. Walking on Dartmoor in a wind that numbs the face, with thunderheads massing to pour down the snow, the bleakness has the ache of menace. But what looks like a dead countryside is in fact an illusion. The place may be frozen stiff, or drowned, or drugged motionless by the sort of fog that a West Country winter can brew. But life never totally abandons these cold acres. The fog can provide a disturbing study of a landscape set in its own loneliness. It's a closed-down world, and with the absence of any distant skyline, it can seem to go on forever. You walk into it, and you feel different. Something comes out of the place and catches hold of you. Crossing this snowy waste is really an expedition into different weather moods, and the face of the moor is constantly changing. This is part of its tremendous appeal, and as usual, the wilderness itself must have the final say, for there are areas of human experience where words just become redundant. Snow and the light it holds softens the apparent menace of the moor. Wistman's Wood stands within an amazing silence that's all-embracing. Snow can take you out of yourself. You want to belong to it, and the silence that gleams. Behind everything, though, there is evidence of the old harmonies. Man, rock, and water.